Good morning, everyone. If I can have everyone's attention. My name is Chris Gazaza, and I serve as the Chief Advancement Officer here at PrEP. And also, I want to add my welcome for the Father-Son Communion Brunch this morning. It's my pleasure now to introduce Mr. George Blaney, our speaker for today. Mr. Blaney is a member of the class of 1957. He was a basketball star here at PrEP and also a star at Holy Cross. After playing a season at the Knicks, he spent 22 years coaching at Holy Cross, followed by a head coaching position at Seton University. Most recently, he served as the assistant head coach and then as head coach at the University of Connecticut. And we're very happy to have him here with us today.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks, guys. Nice to be here. It's always nice to be back in the PrEP. I want to straighten something out before I start to talk a little bit. When you travel around, everybody that went to a school like St. Peter's, Scranton PrEP, Brooklyn PrEP, all those, but they all refer to the place as the PrEP. There is only one PrEP. You all know that, and that's here. I also would like to clear up something else. I was not the head coach at the University of Connecticut. I was the assistant coach for 12 years. So just so we get things straight here. When I come to these affairs, and it's my wife Mary Ellen is with me and my brother Michael, but I always check with Mary Ellen to see and ask her what I should talk about. So she always gives me the same advice. She says, don't try to be charming, don't try to be witty, and particularly don't try to be intellectual. Just be yourself. So we're going to see if I can do that a little bit. When Father O was saying the Mass, he referred to Lent and sacrifice. And something crossed my mind that I can't believe it did, but when I was a kid, for Lent, I always gave up mustard. And I wanted to ask, Father left before I could ask him, I wanted to ask him if that still was a good piece of sacrifice. I'm really sure it is. But I also would like to congratulate the choir, the voice choir. They were fabulous. I've played in games before 25,000 people. I've coached in a game that had 75,000 people. You did not get me to go up there and try to sing for all the money in the world. So I thought they were great. If the starting five is still here, stand and take it. Let's give them a When Sister asked me to come and speak, I thought about the PrEP. And I thought about how it makes you feel safe. And two things in my life have always made me feel safe, and that's basketball, obviously, and the PrEP. So it's nice to be back in a place that allows you to feel safe. I would like to talk a little bit about some of the people here at the PrEP when I was here that kind of formed a lot of the things that I was able to do the rest of my life. As all of you young guys remember, your first day here, you were thrown together with all kinds of other kids from different cities and different backgrounds and different ethnic backgrounds. And all kinds of differences from yourself. It was nice. I was able to come here with a young guy that I had gone to 8 years of grammar school with. His name was Bob Sinnott. Actually, his father was a teacher here for 45 years, too. Bob and I went to grammar school and high school together. And then I met another young guy by the name of Jack Savage, who was very active in the alumni group, still currently. And Jack later became my best man at our wedding. And, my point is, when you're at the prep, you are going to make lifelong friends. Nobody could have a better friend than Jack Savage to me. So to me, it's very, very special. And I think you guys are going to find out the same thing. You're going to find friends here that will be with you the rest of your life. I met Joe Cooney here this afternoon, and he was 10 years ahead of me at the prep. But he used to do business with my father here in Jersey City. So it's a family that we've known for well over 50 years. And then the people that teach you here. I had a young scholastic that taught me in class, and it was my freshman basketball coach. His name was Joe Novak, and he later became Father Joseph Novak. Was at Fordham and St. Peter's College, and was at the prep for a long, long time. But he was a great, great guy, a great teacher. And he also was the first priest that I heard curse. So I found out it was sort of okay to curse. Not really all that bad. But that's what basketball really sometimes it gets you a little excited. I had two phenomenal coaches, really two phenomenal basketball coaches here, and one phenomenal baseball coach here. My first coach here was a fellow named Roy Leenick, and he was here for a long, long time. They had great, great teams. Constantly won the county championships and the state championships. And then after my sophomore year, he left and went to Holy Cross. He became the head coach at Holy Cross. And a young guy came in by the name of Jerry Halligan. And Jerry Halligan was the coach here for 30 years, and had a remarkable career here. Roy Leenick was kind of like a father to me. Jerry Halligan gave me my love and my interest in the game of basketball. He had unbelievable energy, unbelievable enthusiasm for the game. And I think that's where I learned it. And that's what I tried to keep up with over the years. Roy Leenick then recruited me at Holy Cross, and I went on to play for him at Holy Cross for 4 games. So my background is the prep. It really is the prep. And in baseball, a fellow by the name of Bill Cochran, who you all know, was the best football coach in the area for years. But he also was the baseball coach, and we made great baseball teams the last 4 years too. So those guys were so phenomenal. And then the last guy that I mentioned to you is a man by the name of Earl Markey, Father Earl Markey, who played here as a player, and then went on to the Jesuits, and eventually came back here and was principal of the public prep, and then went up to Holy Cross and has been at Holy Cross for years, where he's been a dean, and he continues to work in the admissions office, and he's in his 80s now. But Earl Markey was a great, great player and a wonderful person, and when I was playing at the prep, he was a scholastic, and he was stationed in the Philippines. But he would always come back in the springtime and spend some time with us here at the prep, and he would work out with us, with the team. I found out a couple of things. I found out, A, how good he was, how quick he was, and how good he was to play against, and how much it helped me play against him. But B, I found out what a terrific person he was, and how he conducted himself. And he had gone to Holy Cross and had been a great player there. So it was really one of the main reasons why I went to Holy Cross. So the background of St. Peter's Prep has been really, really instrumental in everything I've been able to do. I think when I started coaching, and let me just read you one last thing about the prep. My father was in the prep in 1927. I graduated graduated in 57. My brother Jimmy graduated in 66. My brother Mike, who was sitting over here, graduated in 71. And Michael's son, Patrick, graduated in 2005. And my mother was in the Mothers Club for 100 years. Once again, prep is a remarkable background. When I first started coaching, I think as a young coach, you start to think about how you should coach and what your philosophy is going to be and all those kinds of things. And I kind of had an answer for everything. I had an offense for every defense and defense for every offense. And I really was doing way too much. And then I started to feel that the way I learned how to play usually came from things that I remembered somebody told me. And I started to think about word pictures that I could call upon. And so I started to look for little sayings that have big meanings. And that's kind of the way I taught. I'm going to give you a whole list of them. They're kind of, some of them are funny, some of them are a little crazy. And they could come from any place. They could come from Aristotle, they could come from Yogi Berra. And most of them did. But for instance, hope is not a plan. You have to generally think about these things a little bit. Some of them. Are you willing to pay the price? And the price is very expensive. And as I go through these, you'll see that they not only refer to basketball, and that's what I found out as I became a little bit more coaching. I found out I was able to teach truisms for basketball that became truisms for life. And that always really intrigued me. Here's one that fathers will love. And the sons, when you become fathers, you will understand it much better. If you are explaining, you're wrong. Play through every possession. In basketball, we talk about that all the time. Play through every possession. Don't allow yourself to stop playing, despite whatever happens. Whether it's a bad call, somebody makes a great play against you, the coach doesn't like you and sits you down, whatever the reason, don't stop playing just because something happened. And then I had a lot of players that would, when they were playing, they would stop and they would stand. They would stand and just watch. So I started carrying a ticket around, a ticket to the game, and I would have it in my pocket. And as soon as somebody would stop and watch, I'd say, time to buy a ticket. I pulled out the ticket. And at Connecticut, it was $32. And so I used to ask them for the $32. I never got it, but I got their attention. Everyone learns at their own pace. And this is a great one for fathers to understand. It's a great one for teachers to understand. People do not learn the same. Some are visual, some are mathematical, some learn all different ways. We always talk about when does a player get it? There's a player at Connecticut right now, his name is Shabazz Napier. He's having a phenomenal year. Well, 3 years ago, he played on a national championship team as a freshman. And he was a boatload to coach. He was really difficult to coach. He had a very tough upbringing. So Coach Calhoun and myself, we used to just constantly take him out of the game. And we put him back in, and he'd screw up, and we'd take him out, and he'd screw up, and we'd put him back in. And about the fourth time we put him back in, then he started playing great. And he was a really integral part of that national championship team that we had in 2011. But he has since grown, and he now is if not the best point guard in the country, certainly one of the top three. And so the term, he got it, it finally registered what he had to do to become a great player, a great leader, and a great teammate. And so again, everyone learns at their own pace. It took him 4 years. Other players, Kimball Walker, for instance, the player that we had 2 years ago, he adopted before he even got to our place. He had already understood what he had to do as a player, as an individual, as a teammate. And so, again, when do you get it? As a kid, when do you get it? As a teacher, when do you understand that somebody now has gotten it? That's always an interesting thing to me. The ball finds energy. That's a good statement for us in basketball. The ball finds energy. You have to give energy in this game. The game requires that you give energy the same way the choir gave energy today. The same way you guys have to give energy in the classroom. The same way you guys have to give energy with your friends. All of those things are so critical. Here's one I love. If you're the smartest person, if you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Try to hang out with people that are bright. And really pick and choose your friends. Ordinary is not our goal. Ordinary has never been our goal in basketball. I played on good grammar school teams. I played on great high school teams. I played on great college teams. I played on a horrible Knick team. And then I've been fortunate enough to coach a lot of really good teams and a lot of great players. So ordinary is not our goal. We are striving for extraordinary and always trying to do that. Are you the best player on the floor today? I always use this one. I would always pick out players that I thought should be the best players on the team. And I would ask them almost every day. During practice, I would just kind of go up, are you the best player on the floor today? And most of them would be honest with you. And most of them would say yes or no. And I quite honestly, in 43 years of coaching, probably have only had 2 players that could honestly say they were the best players on the floor every day, both at practice and the games. And that was a kid named Ronnie Perry, who I coached at Holy Cross, and then a great player at Connecticut, Ron Butler, who is in the pros today. Those 2 guys were so good every single day that they were the best at practice and at the games. That is hard to do. That is really, really hard to do. Are you the best physics student in your class? Are you the best math student in your class? Are you the best? Are you the best of your brothers and sisters at home? All of those things are things that really work for you. It doesn't take any ability to hustle. Again, in basketball, this is something that you see every day. You see players that don't have a lot of talent that are really, really good players because they don't give up and they just keep hustling and working. This is one of my favorite from Ireland. If you want to dance, you have to pay the fiddle. If you want to dance, you got to pay the fiddle. You just got to do it. And then, what is the game asking of you today? What is the game asking of you today? What is the game of life asking of you today? Those are pretty good questions that you can go. The next one and next 2 probably are my favorites. And we use this all of the time together with teaching and with coaching. No job is too big, but equally as important, no job is too small. And I think if you look at it that way, it really helps to be able to figure things out. No job is too big, but equally as important, no job is too small. And the next one that I love is that I think would straighten everything out as far as all discipline is concerned, taking care of doing the right thing is don't disappoint your mother. And that one always hits home for parents, and especially when things are going bad. I always throw that one out. Don't disappoint your mother. And the last one is the fierce urgency of now. Martin Luther King always used that, the fierce urgency of now. Have some urgency about you. Have some desire about you. Have some relentlessness about you. And then finally, every day is a new challenge. That is the zest of life. Every day is a new challenge. That is the zest of life. Dr. Michael DeBakey said that when he was 99 years old. So at 99, he still had a great zest for life. I kind of like that as I'm getting closer to 99. Basketball to me is the best game ever invented. It doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter what the color of your skin is. It doesn't matter what language you speak. It doesn't matter whether you're tall or short. It doesn't matter whether you're fast or slow. It doesn't matter how you feel. All that matters about is how you play that day. And again, the same thing is true about life. All that matters is what you do today. So make sure that you take care of those things. I'll tell you one last thing, and if we have some time, I don't know whether we'll have time enough, but I'll be open up to some questions. I took a team to Ireland back in the 80s, and we had helped build a gymnasium in Dublin. And so we were going over to dedicate the gym and play a number of games against Irish teams. And we took a number of people with us. Mary Ellen came with us, and a couple of other people from Holy Cross. But Father Markey was working at Holy Cross at the time, and he came with us also. So we were staying in a hotel, a nice hotel in Dublin. And it was a Sunday, and Father Markey had a mass for us in just a conference room in the hotel, And he proceeded to give a homily. And he talked about that the people of Ireland would be very, very thankful for us raising the money and building the gym in Dublin, because it afforded their children a safe place to go. And I always thought that was terrific, the way Father put that. And then he said, and yesterday we had gone up to Queen's College to play an exhibition game up in there, and up in Belfast. And he had talked about the fierce competition, and again, a safe place for Irish, Catholic, others, Protestants to play against each other, to compete against each other. Again, a safe place to be. So he kept repeating that and reiterating that, and I always thought that was a great thing. So basketball is a place I feel safe. St. Petersburg is a place that I feel safe. I really want to thank you for allowing me to come back and speak to you today, and hope I was able to tell you a few things of where I've been.